We are here to defend democracy for the people.
His Glory Partner Spotlight. Our partner spotlight is Medishare. Medishare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry who cares about your health. My wife and I have been using Medishare for over 10 years, and we love it. Most families can save $500 or more on healthcare costs. Medishare offers free 24/7 access to telehealth and extensive nationwide doctor network. And Medishare has a 98% customer satisfaction rating. Go to hisglory.me, click on our partner page, follow the link, medishare.com/hisglory.
His Glory is coming to you live. There isn't another ministry on the planet that I trust more. I'm Dr. Brian Artist. Tune in every day to His Glory.
Psalm 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him I will trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near you, your dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation.
We want to welcome all of His Glory Nation to this special edition of His Glory News. We are spreading the good news from east to west, north to south, and I'm Jenness White. Today, we're going to be talking about the war on our children. From indoctrination in the school system to the push for the transgender movement and life-altering surgeries, and even horrifically human trafficking. The children in the world are under attack right now, and we are going to focus on some recent news headlines and bring on my good friends, Miriam and Julie from Moms on a Mission, to discuss some of these hot topics. Miriam and Julie, thank you so much for being with us today. And ladies, we're going to go through some headlines focusing on the war on our children right now. And I want you guys to comment on some of the crazy things going on in the world. But first, if you could introduce yourselves and tell everybody about your organization and how you are standing up and fighting for the children.
Well, thank you so much for having us. I'm Miriam Shaw.
I'm Julie Wolslayer.
And we started Moms on a Mission, a podcast. We're in our 50s. We did not need a new job, but here we are. After COVID, we started exploring curriculum in our school and just really started looking around, eyes wide open, and started realizing that this was a cultural war for our children. That's what's happening. It's a cultural war. And we thought, in our silence, we're complicit. So we decided to start this podcast to respond and fight back to help protect our children.
Yeah, and we're focusing on education. specifically classical education. We've learned through a book, Battle for the American Mind, really opened our eyes about what's been going on in our education system for over 120 years. And I think a lot of people have missed it, including us. So we're focusing a lot of our time on that, but we want to educate people, awake and activate. Once they're educated and awakened, then it's time to go out and take action. I think a lot of moms don't know what to do. We were two of those moms that didn't quite know what to do, but now we're learning along with our listeners. We're listening out, like the Reawaken Tour. There's so much that can be done. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be one step. It can be showing up at a city hall meeting, city council meeting, going to a school board meeting, or maybe it's running for a race. But we want to lock arms with moms and help equip them and activate them to take action.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, God bless you guys for standing up. And I think that more moms around the United States are also becoming aware of everything going on. And that's the good thing about the tours and, real news exposing what's going on so that we can stand up and we know how to fight back. So God bless you guys for doing that. And tell everybody real quick where they can find your podcast.
So we're on all the platforms. We're Moms on a Mission. Probably the main ones are Rumble and Apple. If you just search for Moms on a Mission and follow us, they get emails and notifications when we have new episodes. We have 3 to 4 podcasts a week coming out. And then we're on Facebook, Insta. And
we're at momsonamission.net. You can go to our website. It tells us more about who we are, what we're doing, gives some specifics and background about our podcast.
And our episodes are located there too.
Yeah.
Perfect. And so everybody watching, make sure you check these ladies' podcast out. They are phenomenal. So definitely make sure you go there and support Miriam and Julie. All right, ladies. So our first headline that I wanted to get into today actually hit social media this week, and that is about Target. So the Western Journal says Target takes emergency action after LGBTQ kids' items ignite outrage, and they are terrified of a Bud Light situation. And so here's what happened. According to an inside source at the company, after an emergency phone call, some Target stores in the southern part of the U.S. removed displays of LGBT products aimed at children leading up to Pride Month. Now, items included mugs that read gender fluid, children's rainbow attire, and child tuck-friendly bathing suits. And so what that means is that it conceals boys' genitalia, and therefore they can wear female attire. Now, the reason that they're under fire isn't just because of the clothing, but because the lead designer apparently is a self-proclaimed Satanist. So this is just another headline on the attack of our children pushing the transgender movement, and even baby attire with this whole tuck stuff. It's just absolutely crazy. Ladies, I would just like you to comment on that. And this truly is a war on our children right now.
Yeah, this angers me, and it should anger, like, as you're reading this, my blood is starting to boil because this is an all-out assault on our kids. I mean, this is like, if someone came to your door and you open your door and they came in and they started grooming and sexualizing your child, you would say, no, get off my property, and you'd fight. But this is exactly what's happening in Target. They're sexualizing our children, they're grooming them, and they're attacking them, and they're preying on 2 things. They're preying on the plasticity of the child. They are vulnerable because they don't know, their brains aren't fully developed, they're emotionally not developed, spiritually not even fully developed. And so they're doing that, and they're counting on the Christians to be quiet and to not say anything because they're uncomfortable and they don't want to offend anybody. But our source of truth is the word. It's not our feelings. It's the word of God. So we have to go to the word, and we have to watch what Jesus did. Jesus called out sin. He loved the sinner. He hated the sin. And even like the woman who was caught in adultery, he loved her. He protected her from her accusers because they had sinned also, but he said, go and sin no more. There was a standard of truth. And that's what we're called to do, is love and present the standard of truth.
Yeah. The first thing that came to my mind, this is a spiritual battle, spiritual warfare. So moms, dads, let's get on our armor, because this is the kind of thing we're facing. This is not just what you see in your face. This is going on in the spiritual realm. So as Christians, we are called to pray. We need to gather. We need to pray. We need to be fasting. We need to take this very seriously, because they are after our children. Like you were just describing, going into Target and 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, they're going after children. And if you know history, these countries like Russia, communist countries, would go after the children first because they're the next generation. and they're grooming them to be transgender, to be whatever they want them to be. So I think the call to action is prayer, fasting, and being courageous. We got to stand up and have courage. We can't stand back. We can't wait. Anybody that's been waiting on the sidelines, this should be a call to action.
Well, and when you really think back to even before when the Greeks, created a democracy, the children were used as pawns. They were just objects. And it really started back in the Greeks when and then America adopted their paideia, their way of looking at the world, which was to the divine, find wisdom from God. But prior to that, children were objects. They were sacrificed. They were used just as laborers and things like that. So what we have in America is an anomaly. This American experiment, if you will, is not normal across the world. And we're the last leg standing. And that's why they're coming for our children, because they want our nation and they want to take God and remove God out of our nation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point about, we're so used to protecting our children. What has made America so great. And I'm so thankful that for the passage of the ending of Roe versus Wade and protecting children. But in the history of the world, going back to, biblical times, we would see child sacrifice, and we're not used to that. I'm so glad. But the rest of the world, and even in states like California with the laws they've been passing, they are not protecting children. So again, a wake up call.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's a huge war on our children, but you guys brought up a great point when you talk about the grooming and what they're grooming them for, which is going to lead us into our next headline, which is going to focus on, sadly, child human trafficking. So now on to the main topic that I wanted to discuss with you ladies today, which is child human trafficking, which is the true pandemic and war in this country right now. So I'm going to play the trailer of the movie based on a true story, which I know you ladies have already watched, which is under attack right now. And they're trying to stop it from coming out because it brings awareness to human child trafficking. And it's set to come out July 4th, and it stars Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. And the name of the movie is Sound of Freedom. Here's the trailer.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
How many kids you found?
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's going to pass the drug trade. Because you can sell a bag of cocaine one time with a child 5 to 10 times a day. God's children are not for sale.
How long you been doing this?
12 years now.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
How many kids you found?
Timoteo, tú rescatas niños, ¿verdad? ¿Puedes ayudarme a encontrar a mi hermana?
Te lo prometo.
For Homeland Security, we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
Which means she'll disappear for good. Imagine walking into her room right now, seeing an empty bed. What we do?
You quit your job, and you go and rescue those kids.
So at this moment, she could be a block down the road, or she could be in Moscow, Bangkok, LA. She's a major operator.
It's all rebel territory. No one goes in. Not the army, not the police, not us.
What if this was your daughter?
There's no Marine unit coming.
You're on your own. This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
When God tells you what to do, you cannot hesitate.
We're going to discuss this movie here in just a second because I definitely want to get into that, but I want to show a clip of Jim Caviezel first. Now, he was recently on Stephen Bannon's War Room on Real America's Voice, and he was discussing this film. And he talks about things like adrenochrome, which is when the adrenaline from a subject is harvested. This is absolutely horrific. It's harvested by taking the blood of the victim after eliciting a terror or pain response. So he brings awareness to that. Cancel culture, of course, child trafficking, and calls out George Soros, central banks, the Rothschilds, and more. Here's Jim Caviezel.
Can you not see what's going on? Can you not see that we don't have a country anymore? By definition, you have to have borders. We don't have a border. Why would you continue to listen to a media that's lying to you every day? You know, a couple years ago, I'm on talking about adrenochrome. You can't say that word. You cannot say anything bad on George Soros. Do you know that he owns many of these companies like the Daily Beast? Boy, they sure had their fun tearing me apart. I lost my agents, 17 years, and my other agent of 15 years, because they listened to them. You think you have a selection? Sorry, you think you know what the truth is. You don't, you have a selection. What does devil mean? It means divider. Satan, Satanos, Greek root, accuser. If there is a God, why do these things happen? Oh, he's had his fun poking himself at the people that go out and try to do the right thing for God. But that's it. St. Paul says to live as Christ, to die is gain. Well, I'm going to take him as his word, because if I don't, I got nothing left. And right now we have our Bibles being ripped from us. We're supposed to go along with the LGBTQ community. Where is our Pope? Why is he not speaking out when poor Catholics are being ripped to kingdom come from the FBI? These are the things that are going on in there. It's like a tentacle, the octopus with arms. It's many, many arms, but you got to go after the head of the octopus in this one. Who is it? The central banks, the IMF, the ECB, the private West central banks, the biz, the Rothschild banks. We have a Rothschild Pope. And there are great Americans out there that are fighting right now, fighting with all their hearts, but they don't have a voice. So I'll be that voice. I saw what John the Baptist did. I think about him all the time in this situation. Would you lose your head for Christ? Would you? I would, because I love him.
Sound of Freedom actually just came out on Twitter, and they tweeted on May 18th that they are pre-selling tickets to help get 2 million people to buy tickets to bring awareness to the 2 million children that are trafficked every year. This is absolutely horrific. And I know Jim Caviezel, actually, who plays the part of a man by the name of Mr. Ballard, and he actually shadowed him. And he has a human trafficking operation known as the Underground Railroad Operation, where he actually saves children every day from child human trafficking. And so Caviezel actually shadowed him, and what he saw and experienced changed his life. And that's why he's sounding the alarm right now. So ladies, what do you think of this movie? And what do you think about our southern border crisis? This goes hand in hand with that and child human trafficking, the true pandemic in America.
Well, I'm just so thankful, first of all, that Angel Productions is going to be releasing that movie. They've done great work with The Chosen. And I'm thankful for men like Tim Ballard, who have the courage to step up and take on something like sex trafficking. I know that he was a former CIA operative and made the decision to leave that and go into, protecting children. And what is amazing and astonishing to me is these open borders. And, the more the borders are open and having these children, unaccompanied minors coming across the border, also other women, vulnerable women, and probably some vulnerable men coming across the border, they're going to be taken advantage of. They have been for years, but the crisis is going to get worse. And just doing just a bit of studying, the statistics are eye-popping. It's unbelievable. And I think most people have no awareness. So I'm so thankful that the time and money has been spent to make a movie like Sound of Freedom. I think it'll educate a lot of people. I can't wait for it to come out on July the 4th so that we can become more educated and, again, educate, awake, and activate moms and dads and grandparents to get involved in this fight. I think most people, again, don't know what to do, but I do know that this movie will bring awareness and help us to get activated and maybe start more groups around the country to fight back.
And I'd like to talk about the fighting back. So one statistic, there's an organization called Share Together Now. They work down on our border. And the gentleman who started it, he said 60% of the children are sexually abused and already trafficked before they even reach the border, number one. And today he also stated that, we have more people enslaved today. There's more slavery now than ever in the history of the world recorded in history. So the call is to action. And what can we do? We can buy tickets to this, but also we need to know that this is happening all around us. This isn't just happening somewhere. And it's not even just happening in our border. It's happening in our cities. And we need to really support organizations, buy these tickets, support organizations like Tim Ballard's, the Operative Underground Railroad, and give money and give time and fight back. And so that's our call to action. Whether we're speaking about any subject, any cultural war, we need to stand up for our kids, and we need to realize that it's happening all around us. And these are things that we can do. We can buy tickets, we can support organizations like that, and we can talk about it in our circles.
Yeah. And what really gets me is people don't want to talk about this. I mean, look at the attacks just on this movie. I mean, they've really struggled with getting this out because they don't want the information to come out. It's based on a true story. It's based on an organization that saves children each and every day from human trafficking. Nobody wants to talk about it. They want to talk about COVID deaths all day long, but if they put up statistics on CNN and MSNBC of all the children who are being taken, that is the true pandemic, and they don't want to talk about it. And so
I think one of the reasons, and the main reason, and like Julie was saying before, like in other conversation, that this is good versus evil. This is God versus Satan. And this is it's an assault on our children to make money. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. That's what you can trace all of this back to. It's all about money. And when you think about it, you can sell a bag of cocaine one time, but a child you can sell 5 to 10 times a day. Yeah. They make so much money off of this child trafficking. It's unbelievable. And we need to stand up as parents and say God's children are not for sale. Number one. And we need to think, what would you do if this were your child? And that's what Tim Ballard with the Operation Underground Railroad, that's what made him change his mind when he was working with Homeland Security. And they said, don't go after that child. Don't go. And he talked to his wife, and his wife said, you have to go. You have to go. Imagine if that were, and he said it was his son, Luke. What if that were my son? And he said, I put the image of my child in front of me because that could be my child. And we have to think, they are not just, sexualizing and abusing just kids. Imagine moms and dads. Imagine if it were your child. Imagine if it were Kate. Imagine if it were my son, Luke. I mean, I would be a hot mess. I would go crazy and do whatever I could, give money, give my time. And that's what we need to do.
Well, and also I just want to point out, I think another reason this is being shut down, I don't have the proof behind it, it's just I'm using reasoning and logic, is that there are probably some pretty big names involved in sex trafficking. What you just mentioned, the money, we've seen this over and over again with some of our movie stars, with a lot of political figures.
Jeffrey Epstein.
The globe.
Epstein, why
there you go.
Why do we not have that list? They have the list.
They have the list. And I guarantee you the sex trafficking, that's why you're getting so much pushback. Not only because this is light and the dark's trying to cover the light, which won't happen because the light always shines the truth.
That's right.
The truth is going to come out.
That's right.
But we as Christians have to keep pushing for the truth. And so again, it's a wake up call to Americans all across the country. Don't let these people push us around. They've been getting by with it for years, and it's time to stop. They are taking advantage and killing and destroying our most vulnerable.
And lastly, I want to just say we have a comfort crisis in America. We're too comfortable. We don't want to be uncomfortable. We're worried someone won't like us. We're worried, that we'll be targeted, our kids will be targeted. But let me just tell you, the reason why America exists is because of discomfort. George Washington in Valley Forge leading his men across the ice in the snow, and their shoes are wearing out, and they have trails of blood behind them as they're traipsing across. For our freedom, I mean, we have been lulled to sleep, and we need to wake up, and we need to do everything in love. But Jesus is our standard, and Jesus protected the children. Yes. He said it would be better for someone to have a millstone tied around their neck than to harm one.
Than to harm the children. You're absolutely right.
And if we are silent, we are complicit, and we are sinning. We are sinning before God.
Ladies, we are running out of time, but thank you so much for being with us today. God bless you. God bless your organization. And thanks so much for being on here and for fighting for our children.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
A recent headline in the Western Journal is that a leaked memo exposes Biden's new policy that will dramatically spike human trafficking. The Biden administration is ending a Trump-era plan designed to crack down on fake claims of family relationships among illegal immigrants, specifically minors, crossing America's southern border. The policy will end May 31st, according to a leaked memo published by Just the News. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the CBP, familial DNA contract with Bode Technologies will end on May 31st, and all familial DNA testing will conclude on that date per the memo. Now, this policy has been put into place under Trump to stop illegal smugglers from using children as a passport into the United States in what is called child recycling rings. In one example, 8 children were used to bring in 36 adults. The DNA testing was to ensure the child was in fact related to the adult bringing them over, but now this policy appears to be ending this month. This tying into HHS whistleblower Tara Rodas testifying before the House Judiciary Committee that the U.S. was the middleman in a huge human trafficking ring and that people were filling out sponsor forms for these migrant children and then trafficking them over and over. This is absolutely horrific. And in fact, the lack of the response from the Biden administration to address our southern border crisis and human trafficking is unexcusable. We need to pray for these children, and we need to fight back. Buy a ticket to Sound of Freedom and get involved and support agencies who are on the front lines helping to save kids every day from human trafficking. This leads us to our scripture for today, which is Matthew 19, verse 14, and it reads, "But Jesus said, 'Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for to such belongs the kingdom of heaven.'" Now we're going to toss it over to our His Glory historian, Becca McRory, for our daily devotional.
Hi everyone, my name is Becca, and today we're going to continue in the Gospel of John, looking at the words of Jesus as he's teaching and giving instruction to his disciples before he goes to the cross. And he gives an analogy here in chapter 15 that is just so powerful, and he explains the analogy and breaks it down for us so that we can understand what he's trying to convey about how we are to relate to him, be connected to him and to the Father, and how we're to live and walk in our life with him, and really to also receive life from him as we live our lives and believe in him and do all that he's called us to do. So let's go ahead and read John chapter 15, verses 1 to 11. Here's what it says. "I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does not bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Already you are clean because of the word that I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit, for apart from me you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is thrown away like a branch and withers, and the branches are gathered, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be full." There's just so much here to unpack, but I really want to focus in on the subject of abiding in Christ. Abiding, he says, abide in him, abide in his words, and abide in his love. Those are the three things here that Jesus says to abide in, because he's the vine, we are the branches. He's our life source. And when we disconnect from him, when we disconnect from his word, when we disconnect from his love, then we're missing out on all the life that he wants to give us to bear fruit and to essentially be his disciples. And so today, whatever you're doing, whatever you've got on your agenda this week, even abide in Christ. Allow yourself to spend time in his words, know the commandments that he gives us, know his love for you, and allow yourself to be connected and receive your life, your spiritual life from him, so that you can abide and walk and bear fruit and let God do the work that he wants to do. It says even sometimes he prunes that which is not bearing fruit, and sometimes that can be painful. Sometimes there's things in our life that needs to be kind of cut back or changed or adjusted so that the Father can help us to be more fruitful in our lives in his eyes. And so allow yourself to connect with Jesus, be in his word, abide in his love for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. May God bless you as you go in his shalom.
That concludes our special edition of His Glory News. I'm Jenness White signing off. God bless this great nation. God bless the children. And go in his shalom.
Moms on a Mission is excited to partner with our friends at MyPillow. According to sleep experts and sleephealth.org, over 50 million Americans struggle to get a good night's rest. That's where MyPillow comes in. They make the best pillows, sheets, mattresses, and mattress toppers. Several years ago, I was having trouble falling and staying asleep due to neck and shoulder pain. Luckily, I heard an ad about MyPillow and decided to give it a try. After 3 or 4 days, I really began to feel a difference. I was sleeping better and my neck and shoulders felt so much better. MyPillow really does help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. Moms on a Mission wants you to get a great night's rest too. Go to mypillow.com right now and use the promo code MISSION for up to 66% off your purchase. MyPillow products are made in America and have a 60-day money-back guarantee and lifetime warranty. Remember, go to mypillow.com, put in the special code MISSION for your special Moms on a Mission discount. Thank you and God bless.
Hey guys, it's Moms on a Mission here. Are you worried about your financial stability and protecting the money for which you work so hard? The problem is stock market volatility and inflation. You may be wondering what you can do to preserve your family's wealth. We at Moms on a Mission encourage you to reach out to our friend Andrew Sorcini with Beverly Hills Precious Metals. Andrew is the expert in educating you to help you find the right balance of gold and silver for your family portfolio. He made it so easy for me to add precious metals to my financial investments. I simply mailed a check to Beverly Hills Precious Metals and my silver showed up on my doorstep a few days later. It was so easy. Go to bh-pm.com to save a little money and tell them that Moms on a Mission sent you. That's bh-pm.com. Don't wait. Protect your wealth today by going to bh-pm.com and tell them that Moms on a Mission sent you. Hi everybody, it's Moms on a Mission here. Recent research from the CDC says that millions of Americans develop parasitic infections and symptoms often go unnoticed or are misdiagnosed.
Parasites are the cause of many health problems, such as anxiety, depression, chronic pain, fatigue, and unexplained digestive issues. We all need a common sense strategy to improve our health.
We at Moms on a Mission encourage you to reach out to our good friend, Dr. Jason Dean. Dr. Dean's Full Moon Protocol provides all-natural detoxification and fights inflammation. These supplements are made with 100% organic ingredients and are proven to kill parasites safely and effectively.
To order your Full Moon Protocol, go to bravetv.store/mission to save $20 off your first order. That's bravetv.store/mission. Order Full Moon Protocol and start killing those foreign invaders that have been keeping you sick. That's bravetv.store/mission to receive $20 off your first order.